Hi folks, it's 2 p.m. on Thursday the 22nd of January 2025. I'm about in the next few hours to dive into teaching about 100 students the theme of squares in the horoscope for an hour and a half. That's going to be an interesting one tonight. It's lovely when it's sextiles or trines, but squares always brings up the angst. And I'm doing it with all of those planets conjunct Pluto. So let's have a look at this. But first, in this last few days, I have been working so hard putting this next Shifts Happen event together. There's a big video coming out in the next couple of days. It's already recorded. I'm extolling the virtues of some of the greatest astrologers in the world who have agreed to come what is going to be the most preeminent event in Britain at an astrological level in 2025, at least in my opinion, because with over 250 years of consultative experience between us, Penny Thornton, Rick Levine, Darby Costello, Alex Trenauer, and yours truly are going to be putting on an astrological extravaganza. And there's so many little other things happening alongside, parallel and with it, including a visit to the largest stone circle in the world. All the details underneath this video in the information box. Shifts happen to the next transit. Right, as I speak, recently I did a new moon video where there were 6 planets within 7 degrees. Since that time, the moon has moved on from Aquarius and as I speak is now in mid-late Pisces, bearing down on Saturn and Neptune. And over the next 24 hours, the moon in the sky will be conjunct Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces for the very last time in any of our lifetimes. The moon will next conjunct Saturn in Pisces in 27 years' time, when Saturn moves into the beginning of Pisces once again. The moon will not conjunct Neptune in Pisces for another 150 years. So we're at the end of a very large cycle. Saturn and Neptune are about to leave Pisces. Neptune in 4 days' time. Saturn in 23 days' time. This is epoch making. This is more than generational. This is species shaking. And this new moon of this last few days seems to have finally sorted out all of the jockeying for position. The dies are cast now. We've been accelerated into the fast lane. And this is the sprint we're on now as we start gathering up speed and really beginning to accelerate faster as a species than we've ever done. So if you think the events of this year have been crazy so far, you wait. Because the run-in from now to that lineup at the end of April is going to be crazy. Yet, through all of this, I retain hope because I can see how this is going to work out fantastically. After April, we got the big lineup in July, and then we're basically sorted. But in the meantime, here and now, as I speak, Pluto is at 3.5 degrees of Aquarius. Venus is at 6 degrees of Aquarius. Mercury is at 3.25 degrees of Aquarius. The Sun is at 2.5 degrees of Aquarius. And Mars is at 29.5 degrees of Capricorn and will move into Aquarius within 24 hours. So by this time tomorrow, we'll have Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Pluto all conjunct in Aquarius. And a part of me's going, ah, and a part of me's going, ooh. Now, I have it on good authority from a number of different sources that there's quite a bit of geophysical activity happening in the world at the moment. One or two tectonic plates are being a little bit bumpy. And, of course, the political situation in the world is just ludicrous. It's ridiculous. However, I have to say that some of the pomposity, the arrogance, the ego that is taking place at this time, and I'm just as guilty as anyone else of this, is actually soaking up a lot of the negativity that might otherwise be spread more widely around into all of our lives. So there is a lot to be grateful for to all these people who are hugging the limelight, because they're soaking up the energy which could otherwise be much more destructive. And of course, pride cometh before a fall. Mercury is about to conjunct Pluto. And when I say about, I mean within the next 5 or 6 hours. And I'm recording this at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, my time, on the 22nd. So it's pretty clear to me that there's going to be some interesting new pronouncements. I find it fascinating that Trump is meeting Zelensky today. Normally I check the news once or twice a day. I'm checking it every few hours at the moment. The Sun will conjunct Pluto in about 20 hours from now. 22 hours from now. Mars will conjunct Pluto in 5 to 6 days' time. And it's well within range now. And as it moves into Aquarius tomorrow, it's going to get a lot more potent. There are going to be some very incisive events over this coming few days which are going to shock the world. There's been plenty of stuff happen already. Tariffs and then non-tariffs. Venezuela seems like ancient history. Israel and Gaza and Russia and Ukraine are off the radar, which seems ridiculous compared to where we were just 3 weeks ago. I think the bubble's about to burst. I really do. And with Mars conjunct Pluto, Mars conjunct Pluto in a person's chart is one of the most challenging aspects in astrology, especially when young, because it deals with deep-rooted psychological suppression and repression of anger and the way you manage that. And often it comes out as violent, aggressive rage, sharp, acute, overly projective energy. The equally strong positive alternative is someone who learns how to change that energy from a sledgehammer into a laser. Often I find Mars conjunct Pluto in the charts of people who go on to become black belts in Taekwondo or Aikido or kickboxing or something like that. But it is sharp and incisive. And there's this image of a spear point lancing a very deep boil buried beneath the surface. Pluto was discovered at the same time as plutonium was discovered, at the same time as the atom was being cracked, at the same time as nuclear fusion was being developed. So Pluto is associated with atomics and nuclear. Mars is incisive, aggressive, sometimes confrontational and warlike, but also brave, heroic, dynamic, projective and assertive. The speech that Mark Carney gave a couple of days ago is going to go down in history around the strength of the middle path. It's almost Buddhist in style. About how countries can deliberately choose to spread their energies globally and reach out for friends rather than being isolationist. I'm going to have a good look at Mark Carney's chart over the coming few days, week, because he's obviously someone who's got a very big role to play in a way that's going to make him lots and lots of friends. But in the short term, the next few days are going to see a rapid acceleration of events, both personally and globally, in a way that could easily lead to a lot of people getting frenetic, frantic, losing the plot, and panicking. I do not include most of the people watching this video in that statement. Because if you're watching this video, you're interested in astrology, not only in terms of personal charts, but in global astrology as well. And those people who are interested in astrology generally have a level of perception, stroke intelligence, that is different to average, different to the norm. I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm saying it's different. It gives you an edge. It gives you a different way of understanding the world, experiencing the world and seeing it. It also gives you a very good capacity to evaluate how long things are going to last for. And by the time Mars has finished its journey over Pluto, by then, Venus is going to be 9-10 degrees away from Pluto. Mercury will be catching up with Venus. The Sun will be well past Pluto. A week from now, we're all going to start seeing a decrease in the level of immediacy and urgency. 2 weeks from now, we'll be thinking, what were we doing? But, you know, this lineup isn't going to go away. There's retrogrades coming up in a month or two. And it's going to get intense again because at the moment, there's a 5-planet lineup in Aquarius. There'll be another planet lineup in Pisces. There'll be 4 or 5 planets in Pisces and 3 or 4 in Aries. And then there's the 7-planet lineup in Aries. So that's going to be in mid-April. So yeah, the ante's been ramped up, and it's not going to go back to normal ever, because normal is history now. This is an upgrade, biggest upgrade of our lives, and it's an upgrade of consciousness. It's an upgrade where normal people like you and me are looking at the world and what's going on in the world, and not only the power struggles and the arrogance that goes with it, but also the endemic corruption of seeing good people being persecuted whilst criminals are being released. And more people are standing up and going, wait a minute, no, not in my name. And I still say that there's something very deep about to come out that's going to change the narrative. Watch this next few days. Keep calm in yourself. If you have something in your horoscope around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees of Aquarius or Leo, then you are in the firing line. And this will be sort of 1 in 20 of the population. So the more you deliberately choose not to get your buttons pushed, to assess, assimilate, integrate, and then come back with feedback and answers, rather than doing something spontaneous, which you will later regret, I promise you, the more intelligent you're becoming, the more mature you're becoming, and the more representative of a kind of human that's going to occupy this planet over the coming times you will be. When I say occupy this planet, I should have said dwell on, in and with this planet. We don't occupy. This is crazy. It's crazy time now. Mars conjunct Pluto. Mars conjuncts Pluto every 2 years. So it's not once in a lifetime. But Mars conjunct Mercury, conjunct the Sun, conjunct Venus, conjunct Pluto. Ooh. We live in interesting times. Watch the tectonics, watch the volcanoes and earthquakes and landslips and landslides. They're happening everywhere. And don't buy into the hype and spin. Wherever there's noise, don't give it oxygen, because behind that noise is something desperately being covered up that is about to erupt. Watch this space. Right, I've got the biggest astrological event in Britain this year to organise, so I'm going back to that, and yeah, more tomorrow. Catch you later, world. Bye.